So I was watching the Ohio State Penn State game, and it was pregame, and it was playing. They play music in the background and all that stuff for Penn State. And the distance, I heard the Isley Brothers "Twist and Shout," great song from the '60s. Had a resurgence, I think, in 1976 when Animal House came out. Otis Day and the Knights, the group that was in the movie, sang "Twist and Shout" at a toga party. And since that fateful day, toga parties on mainstream campuses always played Twist and Shout, or they just played Twist and Shout at a football game, like a Penn State versus Ohio State. And I started thinking, it's like, for a lot of those kids who always hear Twist and Shout, A, they probably don't know it's the Isley Brothers. Or B, if they know it's the Isley Brothers, that's probably the only Isley Brothers song they know. And on the opposite side, if we're at a HBCU, they probably never played Twist and Shout because the Isley Brothers made a whole bunch of other songs after Twist and Shout that was equally or better than Twist and Shout. Or if they don't play the Isley Brothers, they're playing, from an old school standpoint, they're playing Ice Cube's "It Was a Good Day," which sampled "Footsteps in the Dark" 1 and 2, parts 1 and 2 by the Isleys, or they're playing "Big Papa" by the Notorious B.I.G., which samples "Between the Sheets," or if they're really into PE, which I'm not sure if they are anymore, but if they're really into Public Enemy, they're playing "Fight the Power," and "Fight the Power" lifts from the Isley Brothers' "Fight the Powers" part 1 and 2. So from a mainstream campus, the only song they know by the Isleys is "Twist and Shout," and from an HBCU standpoint, they probably don't play "Twist and Shout." So that's an interesting dichotomy. But I started thinking, it's like, what are my favorite top 5 Isley Brothers songs? And I had a top 5. I wrote a top 5. Number 1 is always going to be the same. It's unconventional number 1. It's going to be the same. I had 4 others. And I was like, oh, this is a good list. And then I started listening to the track I have at number 1. I was like, oh, I haven't listened to the song in a while. I was grooving. And then all these other Isley Brothers songs popped up on YouTube. I was like, oh my God, I forgot about these songs. And I said, it's impossible to make a top 5 Isley Brothers list because you're going to forget a bunch of songs. In Between the Sheets, Choosy Lover, That Lady, For the Love of You. Let's say, It's Your Thing was Sean Pepper used for Shake Your Thing. It's just endless. It's endless tracks. Fight the Power, Voice to Atlantis. You just keep going. It's just like, the songs keep going, and it keeps going and going and going. And I started thinking, have we underrated the Isley Brothers' talent? Have we? Because we always talk about Ernie Isley. I mean, Ronald Isley. Like, we always talk about Ronald Isley, how great Ronald Isley is. He's, in the 90s, he had a resurgence with R. Kelly as Mr. Big. So he got newer, younger fans, and then he got old fans who loved the Isley Brothers. So he became Mr. Big for a long time. They're still touring today. Ronald Isley still sounds great. But have we underrated them? Like, they started off as a trio, I think, in the late 60s, and then they became a full band when they brought in more family members like Isley, Jasper Isley. They became a full band. They became a full unit. I think they were on Motown initially, just like Glass Knight and the Pips, but there were so many acts on Motown that there was a lot of acts that got squeezed out because they didn't get as much attention. And so a lot of those acts went to different record labels, and the Isleys, I can't remember if they started their own record label or went to another record label. I feel like they started their own label, and they had their own sound. They produced themselves. They were their own unit. Ronald Isley didn't sound like anybody. He didn't try to sing like anybody. Musically, there's nobody who can say, oh, the Isley Brothers kind of sound like this. Like, no. The Isley Brothers had their own unique sound. And it's like, I think we underestimated their talent. And when they were hitting hard in the 70s, think about who they were competing against. Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind and Fire, the Jacksons, the Commodores, LTD, Marvin Gaye, Curtis Mayfield, Barry White, Isaac Hayes. The OJs. Teddy Pendergrass, Harold Melvin, the Blue Nuts. Rose Switch, and I haven't gotten to the ladies yet. Donna Summer, Diana Ross. Oh my God, Minnie Riperton. The R&B in the 70s was a murderer's row of not just people making hit songs and hit albums, but legends. I scoff at people who say, like, because someone was talking about, I had talked about Tyler the Creator, and someone's like, oh my God, have you listened to Frank Ocean? It's like, yeah, Frank Ocean's great. He's great. But compared to what came before him, oh my God. Oh my God. As much as I like Frank Ocean, he would not survive in the 70s. There was so much greatness. I am a lover of all things 90s music. I love 80s R&B. I love 2000s R&B. I love 90s R&B. I love 90s R&B. I love 90s R&B to like early 2000s R&B, right? I am a lover of Prince and Michael Jackson of the 80s. Like I came through a glorious time of music with MTV and BET, of New Jack Swing and Neo Soul, of Maxwell and Erykah Badu and D'Angelo. You take all those things together, and you look at what they were doing in the 70s. It's like, my God. My God. I forgot, I didn't even mention Donny Hathaway. I forgot about Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack. That era is so strong. But yet the Isley Brothers carved out their own niche. Yeah, Ronald Isley gets a lot of love. But I think we reduce the Isleys down to a Quiet Storm act of In Between the Sheets and For the Love of You, which are great. But I think we reduce them down to a Quiet Storm act, which they're much more than it. And part of the underrated aspect of them is Ernie Isley. Usually when the shorthand version of a black man playing rock guitar is usually Jimi Hendrix and Prince. There's a bunch others. You have B.B. King, Albert King, Chuck Berry, Jesse Johnson. You have a ton of other, Lenny Kravitz, Gary Clark Jr. You have a ton of others. But the shorthand is usually there's Jimi Hendrix and there's Prince. And there's like nobody in between, which is a mistake. Ernie Isley is one of the best rock R&B, one of the best rock guitarists ever, one of the best R&B lead guitarists ever. I don't think we talk about him as we talk about Ronald Isley all the time, but we do not talk about Ernie Isley. I can't imagine Voyage to Atlantis without Ernie Isley's guitar playing. I can't think of that lady. That lady is always in commercials. I can't imagine, because it's usually without Ronald Isley's vocals. It's just Ernie Isley playing guitar. I can't imagine that without it. Choosy Lover, I can't imagine the guitar without that Ernie Isley lick. It's just, Ernie Isley is one of the greatest guitar players ever. And I do wonder, men and women like her or something like that. A lot of people say like, oh, I'm influenced by Jimi Hendrix, or I'm influenced by Prince. But I'm sure there's a bunch of people that's been influenced by Ernie Isley, because he's probably one of those prolific guitarists ever. And I miss a rock guitar in R&B music. I love what Michael Jackson and Prince did back in the day, even Janet Jackson. Like I miss a guitar lick in music, a blues lick. Like that's the thing about urban music. We lose a lot. Like we do not, we are not holding on to our rock bass. We do not hold on to our blues bass. We let other cultures dictate that to us. Probably in Japan, probably love blues more than our culture do, which is unfortunate. So let me get to the song that's always my number one. Is Take Me to the Next Phase. Take Me to the Next Phase is one of the greatest, most underrated songs ever in R&B, or even for the Isleys. It's so great because it starts off, sounds like you're in a concert. It's almost like the Isley Brothers said, we're going to make this song, and this is going to be the song that we close. We don't care if it's Earth, Wind & Fire or the Jacksons. When we play this song, we're going to destroy them. We're going to blow them off the stage and Take Me to the Next Phase, because it doesn't get played a lot. Sometimes it get played on some mix shows, but it doesn't get played a lot. It has the last 4 minutes of that song, it goes, and it's, and then Ronald I say, come on, come on. It's such a driving song. If you need a new workout song, it's like, man, I need a new workout song. Go to Take Me to the Next Phase by the Isley Brothers. You will not go wrong. If you haven't not heard that song in a long time, please check it out. If you know nothing but the slow jam Isley Brothers tracks with Ronald Isley, please take a minute and listen to Take Me to the Next Phase. It is one of the most glorious, hard-driving R&B, funkiest tracks of the mid to late 70s. It is an amazing song. I love it to death. It is my ultimate. I love all the Isley tracks from the 70s, but that is my ultimate favorite. So if you're talking to some of these kids and they don't know anything about the Isley Brothers, no matter if you're at HBCU or a mainstream campus, give me 3 songs that best represents Ronald Isley and Ernie Isley, the Isley Brothers. Come on! Oh my God, I love that song so much. So good.